if you were to actually clarify your agreements and commitments with yourself at all these different levels appropriately. When we tend to coach people, by the way, we'll walk people through this, but guess which way we go? Do we go bottom up or top down? Bottom up. You go top down, nobody's home. If I ask any of you to write down top of mind right now, the top 3 things on your mind, very few of you would write fulfill destiny as human spirit on planet. What you're going to write is cat food. That's right. So if I want to work with you, we're going to start with cat food. At some point, you'll realize you have a cat because it fits into your vision, which is fulfilling your life purpose and, you know, whatever. But we got to start with cat food. In 2 days of coaching intensely with people, we barely get up to 10,000 feet. We might get up to 20,000, might get to 30, because there is so much stuff down at that level that has got people out of control. They can't think at 40,000 feet yet. But that doesn't mean those are not conversations to have. It just means you didn't get to them yet. And we need to make sure you've got implementation and deck clearing capability first, because otherwise you'll resist taking on bigger stuff because you'll know you couldn't handle it if you did. The old models, why they don't work. They only dealt with one aspect. They either dealt with perspective or control, but they didn't tie them together. They also weren't complete. Hi, just organize the important things. Right. And then cat food will take half your day because of forgetting it and then having to go back. So a lot of times they tried to start top down and they didn't get all the way down, so it was incomplete. Or they said it's okay to only have a few of your phone calls on your calls list. Excuse me, as soon as you have anything left in your mind, you don't trust your system. If you don't trust your system, it's not worth the energy to put stuff into it because it's not giving you the payoff. You folks who've only got half of your stuff in terms of your commitments into Gmail and into however you're organizing that, sorry, it's just more work than it's worth. Do it all. Change the game. Totally changes the game. But you don't have a system until you do. They also compressed the models. They said, oh, any of you ever sit down and say, I need to get organized? And you tried to collect, tried to prioritize, tried to clarify, tried to organize, tried to review all in one fell swoop, and you blew a fuse. Go, doesn't work. So we've taken this down to as close to the zeros and ones as we could possibly get them in terms of you cannot get it any closer to just the simplest things to do. But you've got to collect. That's different than processing what you collect, which is different than organizing what you've processed, which is different than reviewing it all, which is different than making choices. Those are very different behaviors with different tools and different best practices. And we can't compress it any more than that. And everybody's tried to do that. Also, people have tried to compress the horizon. So let's talk priorities. You were right. Is that Google's strategic plan or yours? How about health and vitality? Where's that fit? You understand that people go, let's do part of it. And that won't work. If you try to compress priorities into anything less than at least these 6 different horizons, probably not going to get it all. Disconnected from reality, people want to deal with the vision of their life, and they got 3,000 emails blowing up on their desk. It just didn't map to where people really were psychologically. And they were system dependent. Hi, my system. My way to organize this is the best way to do it. If you folks get GTD, you'll see we are system agnostic. It doesn't matter. You want to write it on a body part? Fine. Doesn't matter. Just make sure you don't wash it off when you need it. Mine is like, what's the purpose of this? Clear my head. I call whatever system keeps my head clearest. That's what I'm going to use. That's the driver. How I came up with all this, I needed a better job. After 35 professions, by the time you're 35, consultant or flake are your only 2 options. I'm the laziest guy you ever met. I'll stand toe-to-toe with any of you on that one. I'm so lazy, I've set up a system so I only have to have a thought once. Somehow, I'm enthralled with efficient process. I thought everybody was. I wake up thinking, how much easier can I get done what I got to get done? I thought everybody thought that way. Apparently not. I value clear space. I discovered that, especially in the martial arts. A lot of that's about how do you clear the space, wherever that is. But a clear space is a much easier place to operate from. There's a surprise coming toward me right now I can't see. So when I'm not doing anything else, my email's at 0, folks. If I'm cleaning backlog because there's a surprise coming toward me. You think it's easier to deal with surprise when you got 3,000 unprocessed emails or when you're at 0? You tell me. And by the way, it takes a lot less psychic energy to maintain at 0 than it does to maintain at 3,000. And if the good fairy, by the way, showed up and disappeared all your Gmails right now, you're at 0 and in, within 10 days, you'd all have exactly the number you have. Because it has nothing to do with your volume. It has to do with your comfort zone of how many unprocessed things you will tolerate. Mine is 0. It's never at 0. There's always stuff coming in. But it's a lot easier to maintain at 0, and it's a lot easier to deal with surprise. Whole lot easier. With or go as GTD? I don't know. That's why you'll see question marks here. It's starting to become a standard. We are actually getting calls and emails. Could you tell us a GTD compliant company that I can go to now? I'm sick and tired of where I work. It's the truth. It's starting to become. General Mills has now used this, S.C. Johnson now, these folks who are very much into the life balance stuff, and they really want to put their money where their mouth is about that. It's starting to become a standard. If you don't think this way, you don't start meetings without going, what are we trying to accomplish? You don't end discussions without going, what's the next step, yours or mine? And people are writing things down. It's not uncool. The world is coming at us. Our kids need to know this. No kidding. So that's been on our someday maybe list, but it's warming up to be able to get to that. Work-life balance is a hoax. Just using that vocabulary is reinforcing something that's just bizarre. There's just what's next. And it's CAT or software or strategic plan. It's just that. And we've got to start to understand that's what the game is. And you folks seem to be doing that as a culture here. You kind of get that. You walk around, you sort of get that idea. Accepted, assumed practice. You know, at some point, hopefully, perhaps, our whole company will dissolve because everybody just does this. I don't know. We'll see. Looks like I just walk around and look at Inbask because I figure we got job security for a while.